Thank you for all your support in helping us move forward towards achieving full accessibility compliance at CDPS. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. Next, we're going to listen to a few comments from teams in our pilot from the HR team as well as risk and compliance.
I'm Susan Redmond, and at the start of this process, at the time I was the Chief HR Officer and Chief over Compliance. And so I knew how overwhelming this would be for our department, but I also knew that we have highly skilled folks whom we could draw from their knowledge and expertise and figure out how to do this together. So I decided to take that initiative with both the HR and compliance in getting our two shops fully and statutorily compliant before the deadline. The key thing to know is this would not have happened without the project management expertise. I wanted to share some of the things that worked really well. The form was able to provide a mechanism where we were able to identify all the areas which needed to be addressed. And that's important because that part to me was the most overwhelming aspect. So that form, it became the to-do list for our team. It broke it down into bite-sized chunks and made the workload extremely manageable. The meetings and the reminders that you guys set up for us helped to keep the project moving forward and keeping us on track with our anticipated completion date. So the biggest advice that I would give to other areas within the department that are thinking about doing this is to jump in. Don't overthink what needs to be done. This process has been created, has made this overwhelming idea of achieving compliance in accessibility concrete and doable. So, and one of the things that I think is important to note too, that bridging that accessibility skills, I think it's a critical skill set that makes sense for all of us to have. It's not something that's in the forefront of people's minds, unless of course you're someone who requires that type of assistance. So it's important that we all do our part to create an inclusive environment, and addressing accessibility and creating those KSAs, those knowledge, skills, and abilities in ourselves in this area will enable us to maintain compliance and achieve success together. And I think that's what it's all about. That's what we do. That's who we are. That's why we're here, working together, safer together, and successful together.
There are many resources out there, including mini workshops that we created that the accessibility team provided around simple skills like using plain language, hyperlinking correctly, using tables properly, use of correct heading structure and formatting, and more recently, even an intro to PDF remediation. So please use these to your advantage.
The most important thing that worked well for us is having a central location containing our inventory and our progress, ability to brainstorm and prioritize our tasks as a team. We also had designated point of contacts to ensure ownership, having monthly check-ins to document progress and work on accommodations as a team was a great learning tool, accomplishing dual purpose, completing tasks and learning together as a team. And last but not least, breaking a large project into small steps was a great help for us to make progress.
House Bill 21-1110 makes digital accessibility non-compliance a civil rights violation. The law will go into effect July 1st of 2024, and some consequences could include court orders and fines and monetary damages as well. But it's not just the law. It matters because it's a civil right, it's a human right, and basically it's the right thing to do. We should aim to make our content inclusive and accessible by removing barriers for all users. Some perspective, consider this. 1 in 4 in the United States have some form of a disability in their lifetime. That's 61 million people, and more than 1 million Coloradans, and that number is growing. Also, it's important to consider that anyone can have a disability at any point in their life. You don't need to be born with it. Consider things like losing your vision or being in an accident that could lead to a temporary or a permanent disability. The disability could be invisible. For example, it could be a cognitive disability like dyslexia. Other things to consider, like 300 million people in the world are colorblind. So the content we put forth should consider this as well. 466 million people in the world are deaf or hard of hearing. So your efforts in accessibility compliance can enhance the lives of everyone, including those with and without disabilities.